Today we're going to talk about upgrading Splunk. You come along, you get that little message up there and it tells you, hey, there's a new maintenance version available. It's time to upgrade. We're going to walk you through that path. This is a request from someone who watched the channel. I'm always willing to take your guys' suggestions, and if I can make it happen, I will make a video on it. So shout out to the requester here for learning how to upgrade Splunk instances. So first thing we want to do, there's a general practice. We want to make sure we get the version of our Splunk instance. One of the easiest ways to do that is you just can come into your Splunk instance, go to Help, hit About, and that'll tell you that I'm running 9.01. And so if I go look at Splunk Enterprise, I can see the current version. I've logged in. Here's your latest version for Windows, Linux, etc. I've done a video on installing Splunk. I'm going to cover this again real briefly. I'm going to deal with Linux right now, then I'm going to come back to Windows and Mac. But when you do Linux, you have three options: an RPM, a tar, and a Debian instance. As a general rule, I like to go with the tar. I just find it easier. Do how you feel comfortable, but the minute you start incorporating RPMs and debs, then they start being part of the install environment, and you're gonna have to deal with an extra piece. The tar, you basically just untar it, put it in its location, and you're good to go. So I'm gonna demo using the tar. I'll give it a sample for how to use the RPM, but honestly, I'm a big fan of the tar. It's just really easy. With Windows, I highly recommend just using that MSI. The MSI and the Mac has the DMG, or you can also use the tar. Again, I would use the tar, but I'll briefly explain how to do a DMG. So you're going to go download the instance you want, and then you're going to need to move it to the machine that you're going to upgrade from. Because if you're like me, my Splunk server, unless I run a curl call from it, isn't going to have access to the internet. It doesn't have a web browser on it. So I would have to make a curl call to pull it, which you can do, or you can download an SCP or copy it over however you want. So just get it over to the location where you're going to upgrade. I've kind of put together some slides here to briefly explain the process. We're going to check out our upgrade path. We're going to download the version of Splunk you want. Oh, I probably should have gone and done that first, so we'll come back to that, and we're going to back up Splunk. So I want to check out the version of Splunk you want to upgrade. So if I go into Splunk, easiest thing I did is I just Googled Splunk upgrade. And the very front page, you come down a little bit and it will tell you, hey, upgrade information for Splunk. I'm going to be downloading 9.03. I've been doing Splunk for a long time. I was doing Splunk 6. I know there's people been around longer than me who did be previous to Splunk 6, but that was my first introduction with Splunk 6. It's been the same process the whole way. Basic principle here is it says if you're running 7, 7.0, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, you need to upgrade to 8 or 8.1. So you go download that first, do the installation to 8 or 8.1, and then you can move to 9. And if you're already 8, you need to go to 8.1 or 8.2 and then download 9. If you're already on 8.1 or 8.2, you can just go download the latest version of 9. And in my case, I'm doing 9.03, so that fits in that 9.0x. I'm already there. I don't have to do anything. At 9.01, I can totally go up. And so I don't have to do multiple instantiations of this. But the principle is you would just do what I'm doing with a 8.0 download package, and then you're going to do it with the 9.0 download package, and then you go to the latest version. I hope that makes sense to you. Well, in this case, you just do it once. You can do the 9.0.3 will be fine from an 8.1 or 8.0. So I'm going to download my 9.3. I've already got it downloaded. And so let's move to the next step. It says do a backup. Easiest way to do this is if I go to we can see there's my 9.03 downloaded. If I go to cd/opt, I do a listing, I actually have a Splunk UF and a Splunk instance. There is a reason I do that. I actually built a really cool tool for making Kanban boards, and in order to make that work, it was a lot easier to have another instance of a universal forwarder on there. So I'm running Splunk and a universal forwarder on the exact same box. I'll probably put a video together on why I did that later. But anyway, we're just gonna look here at the Splunk because I'm trying to upgrade my Splunk Enterprise. And the easiest way, if I want to back this up, if this is virtual and you have access to virtual tools, like an a vSphere, ESXi server, you can make a backup that route. If you don't, one of the easiest things you can do is just cp minus R Splunk to Splunk 1, something like that. And that would allow me to, I keep doing $sign. I don't know why I'm doing $sign. CP minus R, that's going to copy all the contents recursively in Splunk and put them in Splunk 1. Maybe I'd give a better name like Splunk underscore back. And that's something you can do. Now all of your files are backed up, and if it goes wrong, you're okay. So let's go ahead and hit that. It's going to chug away for a minute. All right, so if you do that as a backup, now I'm going to go to cd slash, let's go check our little checklist over here. We've made an upgrade path. We've downloaded the latest version. If we want to back up Splunk, we back it up. And now we upgrade. My preference, I prefer the tar. All I need is this little command. Clearly I got to fill in the pieces, but, and that should be a tar like that. And I'll just copy it so I don't have to remember if I'm doing this right. So we'll come in here. If I go to CD, there is my Splunk 9.3 version. I'll just go paste this into the command. Now my Splunk package name is not Splunk package, it is Splunk-903. So there we go. -c/opt. If I run this, okay, it's been copied over, it's tarred, and now if I go back to opt Splunk, now I'm just going to run opt Splunk bin Splunk start it up. And it's going to now, just like when you restarted Splunk, it's going to tell you, hey, you got a whole bunch of upgrades here. We're upgrading your service. You want me to do that? I press space bar to get down the list. Do I agree with the terms of the license? I do. Do I want to perform migration and update without previewing configuration changes? I don't need to see the configuration changes. If you want to see them, press no. If you don't care, just press Y. I'm going to press Y and just let it go. Now it's going to do a bunch of checks, make sure everything works right. And the nice thing is it's going to keep all of my licenses, all of my apps, everything that I've been using. Splunk should be starting up now. There's a lot of waiting, but it's not too bad. All right, I should have a Splunk instance up. So if I go check, Splunk is wanting me to log in. Message, they're gone. I'm no longer being told to upgrade my Splunk. If I go look at my about, I am now running Splunk 903. And all of my apps are still there. Everything's working. And so it's wonderful. So really, really simple there. Let's go look at, let's review that real quick. If I go back out, same principle. I did that for an enterprise security. I did that for a Splunk enterprise, but let's say my Splunk forwarder is out of date. I would put the exact same command here, paste. The difference is I would then put Splunk forwarder 903 in this place and run it. I'm not going to do that because I'm already running Splunk. My universal forwarder was running 903, so it doesn't do me any good to do it. But that's how you upgrade a universal forwarder. That's how you upgrade Splunk Enterprise on Linux, etc. It's just download that package, run the tar -c/opt. It'll basically unpack all the new changes and put them inside your old instance, and then you'll restart Splunk up. Make sure you turn Splunk off, tar it, restart Splunk, and you'll accept the license. It'll do the migration, and Splunk is up and ready to go. That's how you do it on a single instance. If you're running an RPM instance, you can run RPM -u and then put the package name in there. Very similar with using Debian. If you're upgrading on a Windows, you're gonna get that MSI file on the computer, double click the MSI file, just follow the instructions, just like you did when you installed it. If you're running a Mac, you can untar, just like we did with the Linux, or you can double click the DMG file and follow its instructions. It's relatively straightforward. I'm going to talk about one last thing. I do not have a multi-instance that I can really demo this on, and it gets highly, highly repetitive. But let me just show, if you're doing multiple instances, mine was easy. My search head, my indexer, they're the exact same thing. The thing to remember is indexers cannot be of a higher version than the search head and the components that support them. The same with, you don't want the deployment server, the license server, the master stuff to be a higher version than the stuff that they're managing. So in the situation here, for example, we're going to upgrade all standalone search heads and universal forwarders. You can upgrade those anytime you want. They can be different versions. You can have 903 as your search head and 901 as your indexer. There is some levels of don't keep them too far off from each other, but there's no problem when you're doing the upgrade. Just do all the search heads, universal forwarders first. Then when you're done with that, then you're going to want to make sure your deployment server and license server then get upgraded. They cannot be done before the nodes that report to them are taken care of. Then you want to make sure you do your master node and deployer, and then do all the search heads in the cluster and do all the indexers in your index cluster. My recommendation, take them all down or take them down in bunches. Upgrade your deployment server, upgrade the if you're doing them all together, just take them all. I'm pretty sure you're going to have to take the indexers, upgrade them, then upgrade the master node if you do them in segments. It's just depending on how many machines you have, you may have to do them in waves. But if you can take them all down, everything in the master node, deployer, all the search heads, cluster, take them all down together, quickly do the untar, follow them through and bring them back up, things will work. But anyway, you'll know real quick if when you upgrade, they just won't connect. That's the biggest thing if you take them out of order, is they won't connect to the devices they're doing. If you upgrade an indexer before the search head will say, hey, I can't search this indexer. I have a version mismatch. So that's the general principle to be aware of, is just there is an order to doing this, but upgrading should be relatively easy. I hope this was helpful. I hope this helps you move from being a L.A.M.E analyst to a Splunk ninja. I really appreciate the requests from the viewers here. I want to make content that you guys want to see, and so please, down below, give me some comments. If you like this video, give me a big thumbs up. I'd love you to subscribe to the channel, and hope you'll keep watching my videos.